always have to adjust this gain. Give me a second. For some reason I always have to adjust my gain now on my microphone anytime I boot it up. It's probably missing an update or something. How we doing tonight? How we doing tonight? Kaufmanite Nation, what is happening? Missed you guys. Hope you've had a great day. What's up, Michelle, Evo, brother? How you doing? Rick G, how's everybody doing? I am. Look, it was a long day today. I was wore out today. I worked all day. I worked on ARAURA stuff, new updates and things earlier today. I worked at the day job tonight. Came home, almost fell asleep after I changed my clothes. I was wore out, but I'm good. I'm good now because I'm here hanging out with you all. We're about to do our first live theory storming session. I call it theory storming because y'all know how we go on the theories. We go hard. We go hard around here. So it's a theory storm. That's what it is. And it's cool because I'm going to be interacting live with you all. I'll be reading some of your all's theories, your all's feedback and stuff like that after I get my thoughts out there. What's up, Sean? Hey, what's up, Peach Booty? Hope you're not working too hard. So there were a number of different topics I could have tackled tonight, thought about tackling, but I figured I would leave it up to you all. And so for our first session of doing these live theories, I thought I would put the onus on you all so that I don't have something that's too rehearsed or whatever, so I could just come off the cuff and have to live theory craft with you. I thought that would be fun. So throw out some ideas. What do you all want to hear my take on theory-wise for what's happening in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and moving forward? What do you all want to talk about? I've got some things I'm going to talk about, and we'll cover that stuff every night this week. Spoiler alert, we're going to do this every night this week. We're going to cover a different topic, a different theory. This will be a conversation piece before I get into Clair Obscure every night, which I won't be playing Clair Obscure tonight. This isn't a regular streaming night. Tuesday nights are not a regular streaming night. But, newsflash, I will be streaming with you all every night of the week for the foreseeable future. Every single night, we're going to come on, we're going to have these conversations, we're going to discuss theories, we're going to discuss news that pops off during the day, we're going to discuss like everything going on in gaming and with Final Fantasy, and my thoughts on not just theories and stuff, but thoughts about the business of things, Square Enix, where things are at, because I'm always critical of Square Enix, but that's because I love Square Enix. I want them to be at the top. I want them to be at the top. That's why I'm so critical. Anyway, enough of that. I'll be with you all every night. That's how we're gonna roll. That's how we're gonna rock. Will Sid betray the party in Rocket Town, but then have a change of heart? Ooh, that's a good one, Rick. Don't hear too many talk about the huge materia being linked to the weapons. Curious how that will work in Part 3. That's a good one. The Return of Genesis in Part 3. You know, my original theory was that Genesis had a much bigger hand in what's going on. Now it doesn't seem like he has any hand at all. Like it seems like he's very much asleep, like he's supposed to be right now. I thought maybe he was going to wake up. By the way, how's the volume, everybody? How's the volume? Yep, the stuff with the gi, G or gi, I don't know how to properly say that. I say the gi, but it could be the G, I don't know. The G-men. Those are good ones. Those are good ones. Let's talk about Sid for a minute. Okay, let's talk about Sid for a minute. And we can get into a few different things. We can talk about a few different things, but let's talk about Sid for a minute. By the way, if you're here and you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Throw a like on the video. Tell your folks, tell your friends, tell your grandma, your grandpa, anybody who wants to talk about this stuff, let them know your boy is back full time. And we're going to be going in on big brain theories and big brain stuffs all over the board. No, I don't think Cloud will become a real man. Well, let's talk about Sid for a minute, because this is fascinating. I'm glad you brought up the stuff with Sid. I hadn't thought about him betraying the team. That would be a big jumping off point. I think that would be fascinating. Let's think about that for a second. I talked about Sid quite a bit last night. Because I think he's one of the more fascinating characters moving into part 3. J. Michael Tatum has done an excellent job with Sid. As a Southern man myself, I never cared much for Sid's portrayal as a oil tycoon in Advent Children and in Dirge of Cerberus. He sounded like some Yosemite Sam oil tycoon, and I was like, if he's supposed to sound Southern, y'all kind of missing it. Throw a y'all in there. Throw a couple y'alls in there. But you know, you ain't got to sound like you just came off the ranch and you're mining for oil. Or some like old school prospector or something. No. J. Michael Tatum nailed it because his dad's Southern. I think he's Southern. I think he's from a Southern family. And he just did an impression of his dad. I thought it was perfect. I loved his take on Sid. Excellent. You got the Southern man thing down. Kudos to J. Michael Tatum. Sid Highwind is going to be, I think, a focal point of a big part of what I think is going to be called Final Fantasy VII Redemption. You could even break out the old Gact song from Dirge of Cerberus, which is still a banger. Redemption. That's a good song. I don't care what you all think about Gact. That's a great song. I love Gact. I think he's a hell of a musician and a really good actor too. Anyway, back on point. Sid Highwind, I think he had something to do, and I talked about this last night. I think he had something to do with Ifalna getting caught and Aerith being raised in Shinra and Gast being killed. I don't know exactly what his role will be, but that would, I don't know. Maybe not, because I don't think the math adds up. But I think that would be fascinating. Like maybe if on one of their escape attempts he helped catch them or something. I don't know. Aerith is 23, right? Aerith is 23 years old. And Sid is 35, I think. How old's Sid Highwind? How old is Sid Highwind? 32. He's only 32. Okay, so the math doesn't add up on that. He would have been 9 years old. Okay, so the math doesn't add up. Yeah, this is a song that someone had asked me about last night, and I had to go back and look at the name of it. But yeah, I love this track. This is the one I'm looking forward to at the end of. I'm just gonna keep calling it Final Fantasy VII Redemption. I'm gonna keep calling it Redemption. I'll probably wind up being wrong about that, but I'm gonna keep calling it that. This is what I'm looking forward to hearing at the end, because you know they're gonna go off on it. You know they're gonna go nuts with this song or this track. Anyway, I think Sid's gonna have some kind of tie to Ifalna and Aerith. I think that's why he asked about her mother. He knows something about her. He knows something about the mystery of them. And it's really interesting that he seems moved. When he's definitely putting on a front. He's not the nice guy. What's up, Scotty? He's not the nice guy that he's pretending to be. He's definitely going to have that hard edge to him. No pun intended. Hard edge. He's definitely going to have some skeletons in his closet as far as it pertains to Shinra. So, going back to what you said about him betraying the party in Rocket Town for a chance to be in the space program again, I could see that happening. Now that Aerith is gone, and he doesn't feel like he has to make amends for something. He owes her something. She's gone. So he could offer up the party to Shinra. That would be very interesting. Because I think their next stop, honestly, they're leaving the Forgotten Capital. That's where they're leaving from. They got the repaired plane, the tiny Bronco repaired. They're heading out. I think they're heading to Rocket Town. I think they're going to be heading to Rocket Town. And it's going to be interesting, though, because if they get to Rocket Town and Shinra's there and they show up with the tiny Bronco, that's the whole reason Shinra was there, was for the tiny Bronco. And they did the whole thing where it gets damaged when they escape and everything. So they would have to do that a little differently now. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, I could see that happening. And the way he could come back into the good graces of the party is helping them hijack the High Wind. It's named after him. It's named after him. He's like, this is my ship. I'm taking it. And he just helps the party escape Junon on the High Wind. That could be how he makes it up to the party. That's some good stuff. Dona44, Don, what's up? How's it going? Welcome. Since we did the iconic putting Aerith in the water scene, do they put that as one of the devices that is used for Cloud to get himself out back together with Tifa? Yeah, I talked about that last night, Scotty. I think that's going to be a big part of Cloud's putting himself back together. Right to the northern crater continent, northern continent immediately. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see a stop in Rocket Town because we should have already been there. I would like to see... Because here's the thing. Okay, so what they've done, kind of reorganizing things, it's going to be interesting because each act of the third game is going to have to be huge. It's going to have to be really long. Redemption being the third act itself. Because there's a lot that has to happen, and I want Cloud to be in the party when those things are happening. So I want Cloud to be in the party when we get to Rocket Town, because I don't want to wait to get to Rocket Town in the third act of the game, in the last 10 to 20 hours of the game. I don't want to get to Rocket Town then, because that's when we're supposed to be getting to Midgar. And if we get to Rocket Town before that and we go to the Whirlwind Maze first, and we lose Cloud and all that kind of stuff, then we're going to be doing a lot of that without Cloud. So if we're exercising this theory that Sid betrays the party at Rocket Town and gets back with them by helping, take the High Wind, it gets a little messy because, they're captured in Junon after Cloud disappears. So, yeah, to make that work, you're going to have to do some real kind of jigsaw puzzle placement. Yes, absolutely. We will see baby Aerith. Absolutely, Michelle. We will see baby Aerith in the video with her parents. Yeah, that would be interesting, Scotty. But again, we get to in that scenario, we get to Rocket Town without Cloud. Which, the version of Cloud we've got right now is like broken, busted up, old Betamax VHS Cloud. It's not ultra, 4K Blu-ray Cloud. So, that could happen. I mean, all that stuff might happen later. As soon as we get to Rocket Town, we're going to see Sid for who he really is. So that's going to be interesting. What's up, Shin Abomination? Thank you for the $4.99. Hey, Ray, missed you and your theories. Do you think they are gonna kill Zack again? I think he's dead right now. I think Zack is dead right now. He's doing his he's doing a Yu Yu Hakusho Spirit Detective. I think I called him Lieutenant Zack Fair, Soul Reaper, last night. He's kind of doing his Soul Reaper thing right now. I think he's just kind of bouncing around. But yeah, I think because Tetsuya Nomura said it, I think a lot of people blocked this out of their minds that this is an actual quote from him. That when you finish, or maybe it was Yoshinori Kitase. It might have been Kitase. It was either Kitase or Nomura who said this. I don't think it was Nojima. But once you finish the Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga, it will play right into like Advent Children. Like, you're not going to play Advent Children in the Remake Saga. But basically what they're saying is this game will end how Final Fantasy VII ended. They're just remaking Final Fantasy VII. But you will still get that ending, and you will still be able to watch Advent Children, and it'll be like a continuation of the Remake Saga as well. That quote is out there. That happened. So I think Zack is still dead. Which it would have been super interesting to see what they did if they had done anything with bringing Zack back and dropping him into the party. But that's not the direction they went. So I don't think Zack's in our world. I don't. I think he's still hopping around into destroyed dimensions. Yeah. Zack is almost like if you're looking at some of the Star Wars reference that that Rebirth kind of set up, there's some Star Wars borrowing in there. There's a ton of Matrix borrowing. Oh my god. There's so much borrowing from the first two Matrix movies thematically in Rebirth. It's stunning. And there was in Remake too, but we're not going to talk about that stuff right now. Y'all remind me tomorrow night, we'll talk about that. I want to kind of keep this on the rails a little bit. They kind of opened the door for Zack to be kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi for Cloud. Cloud understands that Zack is there in some capacity. Aerith understands that Zack is there in some capacity, and this other live stream hopping. There's these alternate dimensions being created in these pockets. And these pocket dimensions, they die and feed into whatever's going on with Sephiroth, creating that wound. And now his idea is going to be to create this massive wound in the actual world, the real world that exists, so that he can be at the center of it, get all that energy, become a god. Because it showed at the end of Rebirth him absorbing all that energy from those little pocket dimensions that are being destroyed. So that's what was happening. That Zack was hopping in and out of that pocket dimension. He died, he left the real world. His will to live created that pocket dimension there. And Aerith knew something was going on there, so she pulled Cloud in there when they were both unconscious. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. It's a ton to unpack. I thought it would be convoluted, and I didn't think I would enjoy it. But I actually really dig it. I actually really dig... There's a lot of metaphysical stuff they get into as well, which, as a spiritual person, I really dig. Yeah, well, Peach Booty, that's a great comparison with Titus and what he had going on Final Fantasy X. Alright, so yeah. So with Summer Games Fest is... When is Summer... I looked at it. It's on my calendar. I know I've got it. Let me look. I marked it because we're going to watch it. Summer Games Fest is June 6th. June 6th at 5 o'clock. Well, 5 o'clock here, Eastern, where I'm at. So, June 6th. So, yeah. So, back to the Sid stuff. I really hope that Cloud is around for a lot of that because, you know, he has to have a redemption arc. We have to see how crappy of a guy he really is. We have to find out what it was with Aerith. And again, I think it's something about his time with Shinra. He would have been like running air. He would have been doing something. And he would have had some kind of connection to Ifalna and Aerith. But Aerith was probably too young to remember Cid. Or maybe she did remember Cid. Who knows? But, you know, we'll have to figure out, we'll find out what that connection is. And we'll find out why he wanted to go above and beyond to help her. And why he was moved that they lost Ifalna, that Ifalna died, you know. So all of that stuff is going to be interesting to find out about Cid. So then we have to find out what a crappy guy he is. They absolutely have to keep all of the stuff with, you know, him and just being a kind of a piece of crap, you know, to Shara. That has to stay there because, like I said last night, that is what makes Cid Highwind's story and Barrett's story and all the stories really, but Cid Highwind especially, that's what took us from Final Fantasy being, you know, evil wizards and charming, rascalish type, you know, swashbuckling heroes to you meet Cid, you see all the damage with him, you see his abusive nature, and you go, oh, that reminds me of real people I know. Like, that was the moment for me, personally, where I turned the corner in Final Fantasy VII. Like, I started taking the narrative super seriously. Like, it's written by people who are grounded in reality and who have real life experience. Not just people who read a lot of books, but people who have seen a lot of things. For me, that's the difference in the writing of Final Fantasy VII and the writing of a lot of other RPGs and even novels and stuff that I enjoy to this day, was that, you know, Final Fantasy VII felt like it was written by people who had lived tough things. You know what I mean? Not just read stories about people who were going through tough things. So that stuff with Cid absolutely has to stay there. I want to see that. But then you have to have the redemption, whatever that is. I would say it's helping the party hijack the Highwind. Like, if he makes a deal with Shinra and sells the party out, that could be part of what happened. You know what? That might not happen at Rocket Town. That might happen at the Northern Crater. Like what you were saying earlier. Who was it that said it earlier? Who was it? Was it Scotty? Who was it? Alan, of course. Yeah. They are heading north. I was just kind of hoping we'd see Rocket Town first. But yeah, so you head north. Cid hasn't been with the party in a bit. Cid and Vincent were separated. Cid was there at the Temple of the Ancients, at the port waiting to go in. He could have been approached by Rufus or anybody. And we might see that. He may have been approached by Rufus, like, hey, look, if things go sideways, I need you to deliver Cloud and everybody to us. You know, to us. So we can figure out what's going on here. Cloud, they know Cloud has the black materia. You know, Cid might arrange a deal at the Northern Crater after we lose Cloud in the Reunion Cloud boss fight, which I still got my fingers crossed for. I think we're getting it. Reunion Cloud boss fight. Cid makes a deal right there. He sells them out. I always thought it was weird in Final Fantasy VII that the party's just like, yeah, we're going to hitch a ride with Shinra. Okay, let's all get out of here, guys. And then you wake up and you're captured. I get how that could work and how that did work. But I think a little extra spice on that sauce, a little extra sauce on that is going to be Cid might have a role in selling them out at the Northern Crater when things start going sideways. They're captured. You know, Tifa and Barrett are captured. Everybody else kind of gets away. And Cid helps break them out in the Highwind, his redemption arc. And then, you know, he becomes more of a leader in the group. He explains himself, all this other kind of stuff. You find out about the space program stuff. And, you know, when we first go to Rocket Town, it might be with Cloud after he's recovered. Or it is without Cloud. And it's like, he's like, okay, we got to make a stop in Rocket Town. That's my hometown. Let's go there and check it out. And that's when the party finds out what kind of guy he is. And then, you know, they find out about Cloud. They go there, do all that stuff, and come back later for the huge materia. So yeah, there's a few ways that could play out, but that would be interesting. Cid's going to be a real wild card. That's what I'm excited about. I want to see playable Vincent too. Just make him Dante from Devil May Cry, right? Just make him Dante. How big will the ending to part 3 be? I think it... Look, that's a great question, Michelle. I haven't really thought about it, but it's going to be massive. Like, I think it'll be a bit of a boss gauntlet, and I think it's going to be about 20 to 25 minutes. Like, if I had to go over or under 15 minutes for the ending, I'm definitely taking the over. Because just for the ending cinematics and wrapping it up, I want them to wrap up everything with the characters in a nice little bow. I want there to be closure. I want us to know, you know, who's going where and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? They might throw us for a loop. They might end it just exactly like the cutscene in Final Fantasy VII ended. But I want more. I want more with the characters you've come to know and see. I don't want just us fading off to Aerith in the live stream, and then Red 13 and his cubs running through the wasteland. I do have a trailer idea question for you. For the trailer, would it be good to show the iconic shot of walking up to the northern crater, or Junon's shot seeing Meteor? For teaser trailer, that is. How big the meteor will be. The meteor is going to be massive. I don't know how they're going to handle its approach. But, you know, the teaser trailer, look, I think the teaser trailer would be amazing if it just showed shots of certain areas, like landscapes and stuff, and it's Barrett and Tifa talking. And they're talking about kind of what's happened and everything. And maybe you hear Rufus or something, but you hear Barrett and Tifa talking about losing Cloud or something like that. And you see shots of Cloud just going nuts and fighting with the Black Materia sword. And then one of them goes to the window, opens the blinds, and you just see Meteor up in the sky. And then show the Square Enix, like, brand marker, and then roll the rest of the trailer. That would be cool. That would be really cool. What will be the tutorial in part 3? It's a good question. What will be the tutorial in part 3? And what would you need it for? You'd need it for Cid and Vincent. Oh, you know, it'd be really cool tutorial for Vincent if you flash back with him to when he first wakes up with his powers and Hojo over him and putting him in a lab with other specimens, and then you're just learning how to do his abilities that way as he's learning how to do them. That would be really cool. That would be cool. We already kind of know how to use Cid because of Sonnen. I'm with you, Darth Magus. I want this to be the end. Like, I don't want any spin-off games. I want them just put all their time and effort, all their eggs into this basket. Go hard, go strong, finish it the right way. So that there's no open-ended stuff. You know, we don't get a spin-off in a few years. You know, oh, here's the Advent Children version of the game. I don't need that. I don't need that. Yeah, Scotty, that would be... Look, they can do anything they want with this game. This final game, I say put every idea in it. hash it out. Hash it out, absolutely. Edit that down, but I want to see them leave no stone unturned. I'm really excited about that. One of the other things I'm excited about, and this is another thing, it's like a bit of a theory. There is a lot going on with, like, what's up with Aerith, right? What's up with Aerith? I've had a lot of people message me their theories. It'd be interesting to see some of your all's theories too, because you all have really good theories, really good questions, and really good ideas as well. I would love to see, like, that dark version. She's not dark Aerith, but it's like a more somber, definitely a different Aerith that's sitting next to Cloud during the moment after the water burial that we don't get to see in this game, that we'll absolutely see in Cloud's piecing back together of his psyche. I just want that to be just like crazy Cloud, just imagining that she's there. I don't want it to be Genova in his head. I don't want it to be something like that. I want it to be like real. I want it to be like a person who has really suffered a traumatic loss, still seeing that person with them. That's not eternal Aerith. That's not, that's not the Aerith in the live stream or any kind of figment. That's just something his brain is making up because he cannot accept the loss. Like, that happens to people in real life. Like, it's I don't know if it's a form of PTSD. I'm not well versed enough about that psychological stuff to say whether that is or not. But I've known two people in my life who experienced a really severe, heavy loss, and they would tell me, they would say, "Ray, I still see her. Like, I still see her." I hope that's what's going on with Cloud. That would make it so grounded. That would give it such another level of reality, rather than it being alien mutant mistress in his head messing with his memories. Like, I just feel like it would add such another layer to this game. It's already, like, has so many, like, deep layers to it already. I think that's what I would like to see. Whether that's what's going on or not, I don't really know. But I do know, theory time, that the Aerith we see in the field before the plane takes off is Eternal Aerith. That's what I'm calling her. Omni Aerith, Eternal Aerith, whatever you want to call her. That is the Aerith that has been omnipresent the whole time, like that's in the live stream or whatever. Goddess Aerith or whatever. Because when she passes by Red 13, he senses her presence. He says her name. He feels her there. And she doesn't get on the plane with them. If it was a figment of Cloud's imagination or whatever, she could get on the plane with them. If you notice, her feet have to stay on the ground, like she's tied to the planet. That's symbolism. That's artistic symbolism. And I kept watching there at the end. I went back and rewatched it several times to see, like, if she seems tethered to the ground, and she does. Like, she is connected to the planet. Like, she is a part of it now. Like, she can't get on the plane and just leave it. She has to stay connected to the ground. And that, I loved that detail. Loved that detail. That was really good. We're going to have a lot for Eternal Aerith in the next game. Absolutely. We're going to have conversations with Aerith. We're still going to see her. I think Sephiroth is going to have some conversations with Aerith, which would be interesting in my opinion. And Aerith's presence, though, I think it should just be Tifa and Cloud. When Cloud's being put back together, because Tifa is the only person that can be with him now. Like, she's the only person that can share time and space with him now and be a shoulder to lean on. Aerith can't do that anymore. Even though Aerith can appear to him via the live stream, that's not what Cloud needs now. Like, he needs a real person there. But I do believe we will see Aerith's presence felt. Even though she's not there walking with him and Tifa when he's putting himself back together, I do believe, like, maybe we'll see her in the background, or, you know, her presence will be known in some way. They have a way of doing that with this character, when seeing bits of her presence or whatever. They really do. And how cool was it that, you know, at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, when Aerith says, "I miss it, the steel sky." Like, she loved being under that plate because she could always see that crack in the sky. Like, she could always see the Matrix. Like, she could always see it. You know what I mean? And being under the plate meant she didn't have to look at it. That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. Well, Alan, yeah, but they set it up to where, like, Aerith is, like, being the last ancient and everything. I'm not really sure how that would work, because, like, I don't know. I think Aerith being able to communicate with Cloud in the live stream is more of a faculty of the live stream itself. Like saying, "Hey, we're gonna pull her out and make her, you know, here's all the knowledge of the live stream. You know this guy. Help him kill that silver-haired bastard. Walk him through things. Help him. Teach him." Or you could even say that that's not... Eternal Aerith is not Aerith. It's a vision projected by the live stream. Like, it is the live stream in a form that can approach... It's almost like, you know, if you talk about different religions, like gods taking other forms to speak to heroes, so that... And Greek mythology is full of this. You know, taking certain forms. Even in Christianity, like, God took several forms in the Old Testament and stuff like that to talk to the people, to level with certain people that he needed to do certain jobs to move humanity forward. Like, that might not be Aerith at all. That might be the live stream taking the form of Aerith, using Aerith's soul, like using her in conjunction with itself to help Cloud, to help essentially preserve the planet from Sephiroth, because Cloud is the only one that can stop Sephiroth. It's like I was talking about last night. That version of Cloud, the nobody from the middle of nowhere, Sephiroth don't want no part of his ass. He don't want no part of him. He don't want no part of that dude. That's why he's misdirecting him. That's why he's messing with him. That's why he's gaslighting him. He don't want no part of that guy. No part. Will we get a Dark Cloud in Part 3? Absolutely. We're getting the Reunion Cloud boss fight. Faux show. Faux show. Yeah, Bobby, I would be totally cool with them doing a segment of the young Sephiroth stuff. Maybe some revelations about what led him down that path, what opened his eyes to those things. And again, I'm not playing Ever Crisis. I'll go and watch some YouTube videos at some point about the story beats and whatever. But I tried to play Ever Crisis, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm keeping 1,000 with you all. I do not like Ever Crisis. I don't like the layout. I don't like having to play it on my mobile device, even on my iPad. I'm like, I don't care for it. I don't care for it. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. But I'm glad everybody's enjoying it when they do these updates and stuff. To be honest, I want to play the Dirge of Cerberus stuff because I want to experience that game. I want to experience that story in a different way. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But yeah, so Aerith is another wild card. I really feel like, now that I'm talking with you all about it and we're doing some theory storming, I really feel like that is... Well, the life stream in the Final Fantasy VII universe is kind of like God, right? It's all-knowing. It's, you know, it is what it is. I mean, the Cetra basically worshipped, you know, were stewards of the life stream. So they were kind of like its religious followers or whatever. I really feel like Aerith we see at the end of the game is the life stream. Like taking on a visual form that can communicate with Cloud. I'm really starting to lean in that direction. Will we see Lucretia in Part 3? Absolutely, that is absolutely happening. Fast has excellent First Soldier content. The rest of Ever Crisis is garbage. We'll see Blue Silver. That was kind of what I was afraid of. So Fast, I will check that out. I will absolutely check that out. I'm making a note right now. Cool. But yeah, I'm really fascinated by Aerith and where they're going with her. What are some of your all's theories? Like, what is a big thing that you're curious about? Like, and again, this first like live theory live stream, I'm just kind of trying to get some of your all's ideas and talk about them or whatever. But I've got, man, like when I finished the game, there was my brain was just buzzing with ideas. And like, what's Vincent's tie to the Turks going to be in the third game? Because he gave them that pep talk when they were leaving the Temple of the Ancients. The whole scene in the Temple of the Ancients where everybody's kind of faced with their demons, you know, I thought that was really interesting. Like trying their virtue, trying their souls, you know, putting their souls on trial. There was a lot of like religious symbolism in Rebirth as well. Did you all catch that? Lots of religious symbolism in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Of course, you know, you could say that in Final Fantasy VII there's tons of religious symbolism anyway, especially with the Gi and the Gi. Oh wow, that's a whole video by itself. And Cosmo Canyon being very spiritual anyway. But yeah, there was a whole lot of that going on. Huge materia being linked to the weapons. Yes. That's going to be fun because it's like, you know, is that how we're going to get huge materia? And is there going to be like a way to kind of circumvent how we got huge materia in the original game? Will we be rewarded with a better outcome the more huge materia we have when it comes time to collect all the huge materia? Like if you go and defeat a bunch of weapons or whatever to get the huge materia, like, and look, another thing too is like how, now, never mind, I'm not going to bring that up, that's going to get off the rails. I want to keep it on the rails. a little bit. So, but yeah, the huge materia and the weapons, that's going to be friggin' amazing. And what's Tifa's connection to the life stream now? She's been in the life stream. She was, you know, she had her swimming with the dolphins moment with the the weapon. Three character synergy attacks, that would be fun, but I would make that rare. What I would do to make combat better, for one, you gotta have materia loadouts. And I would want something I really like that Claire Obscure does is it kind of uses card game mechanics for how it stacks damage. And I would like for Final Fantasy VII Part 3 Redemption to use a little bit of that, because if you've got a party, let's say you've got Cloud's missing, you've got Barrett, Vincent, Tifa, let's say for instance, it would be nice if you could stack materia with weapon abilities. I would like to see them fine-tune weapon abilities a little bit, like make that stuff more of less of a mediocre power upgrade and more of a stackable kind of bonus. Like you know, one weapon ability could be something like, you know, plus 30% fire damage if following up a lightning attack or something. Following up, well, what does that mean? Follow up lightning attack. Oh, okay. So Tifa's knuckles are lightning enhanced or whatever. So Tifa attacks somebody, then you hit somebody with Barret with this thing. It does plus 30% damage because, you know, you see what I'm saying? Like, make it so that you plan out combos with your characters. Like, you assemble your party in a way, like, to where you can stack damage and you can stack buffs for the party. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but I really like what Clair Obscur does with that. And I hope that they do a little bit of something like that in the third game. Otherwise, I think the combat is almost flawless in Rebirth. I really had a good time with it. It got clunky at times, like especially if you're in a fast-paced battle and going back and forth. And part of that clunkiness was just me, you know, fumbling around. But a little more, a little heavier on making your team feel like a real team and not just like a bunch of different characters with like cool abilities, like feeding off of and siphoning off of each other. That would be really cool. I would like to see that. Shin Abomination. Let's see. I think Slash could be like a big move to where like you just hit everything on the field with like a powerful swing attack, you know? Kind of like what Ichigo does in Bleach when he just, you know, brick shit houses a bunch of hollows with Zangetsu, you know? I could see Slash being something like that. That takes like, you know, 3 AP bars, you know, or ATB bars, 3 ATB bars. Make it be a big attack and make it just be like a wipeout attack for weaker to mid-level enemies. Not obviously not for a major boss or anything, but 4 times cut would be really cool. I don't know how you do it because you've already got triple slash, and with what this game does, it would basically just be triple slash with one more slash. Maybe like a heavier damage, maybe switching to like out of operator mode and into something heavier to use that. That might be a way to go on that. Switch parties in oh yeah, dude, like tagging whole parties in and out. Yeah, that would be cool. And that's something, honestly, I think leading up to Rebirth, people were talking about. Like they were wanting something like that to where your, you know, party members could tag in and out. They're on the field. The assets are on the field. Bringing them in and out probably wouldn't be too bad. We see Cloud's final move. You mean Omni Slash? Oh, we gotta get Omni Slash. We gotta get Finishing Touch. We gotta get Meteor Rain. Did we get Meteor Rain? Did we get Meteor Rain in this game? We didn't get Meteor Rain, did we? Finishing Touch, I could see not being there. I could see them leaving Finishing Touch out, honestly. But Omni Slash absolutely has to be there. Aerith's remaining limit breaks and weapons. Oh man, no, I don't think we will. I don't think we will. Like, we're not going to get Venus Gospel. Like, unless there's like a story break in the final fight with Safer Sephiroth, where you get hit with Pale Horse, right? And it's like almost like an instant kill. But then, like, Aerith comes in and casts Venus Gospel and recovers the party from Pale Horse. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? Did we get Finishing Touch in Rebirth? I don't remember that. Maybe I just didn't get it because I was trying to get through to the end of the story. Okay, so everybody's like, okay, are they done? Okay, all right, they've done Finishing Touch. But yeah, Sephiroth, save for Sephiroth casts Pale Horse, and then Aerith comes in and saves everybody with Venus Gospel. That's the last intervention from Aerith. That would be wild. Something else about the combat in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that I really loved, like, they're going to have to rework how a lot of that works when you bring in Vincent. We have already seen how Cid's going to work kind of with Sonnen. They might do they're obviously going to do new things with him, but the base for how that character works is there. Vincent Valentine is going to bring such a crazy dynamic to the gameplay, and I'm really excited about that. He's gonna bamf, he's gonna bamf like Nightcrawler and X-Men. Like, he's gonna poof poof and just reappear in places. That's gonna be so crazy. I'm really excited about that. And also, I think there will be parts in the game that Vincent has to traverse, because it's going to be like jumping from this point to that point and like just teleporting, you know? What if Vincent could teleport through walls? Like, I don't think it's going to be that crazy, but that would be like, if you could see on another side of a fence or something like that and you can't get through, what if Vincent, bam, could just bamf through the fence? That would be crazy. Yeah, well, the old Final Fantasy VII, it was it was kind of like a bad ending, yeah, because, you know, Sephiroth and Jenova were still part of the planet, thus Geostigma. And I would think that that's going to be different in this game had it not been for the quote that came out from the development team about this game will end and then it will just go into Advent Children. Like, you'll be able to watch Advent Children, it'll still line up with the ending of this game. Like, had it not been for what they said there, I'd be like, oh yeah, there will be no Geostigma, there will be no Advent Children, there will be none of that stuff, and it's just going to be the ending. Which I still hold out hope that that's going to be the case. I just want it to be over. Like, I want to get the good ending, you know? I want Jenova and Sephiroth to be done, and all that stuff. I want that to be the case. Put a bow on it. Put a pink little Aerith ribbon on it, and be done. You know, one combat thing I wish they would do is more juggling. Like, I would have loved to done a thing, like, had Barrett do some kind of crazy uppercut combo to be able to juggle enemies, and then send Tifa or Yuffie up to kind of finish them off in the air and slam them to the ground. Like, some massive combos, you know. We got the synergy attacks, which were cool, but I think more juggling would be cool, because you can kind of accidentally do it sometimes, but having it more precise, I think, would be really cool. Oh, I wish this was more in the game. Oh, that's my favorite fanfare of all the Final Fantasy games. Yeah, like Tales of Arise juggling. Exactly, that's the game I've been thinking about when it comes to some of the things I want to see them do in the next Final Fantasy VII game. Absolutely, I love Tales of Arise. It's so good. It's so good. I would love to see them borrow some stuff from that and Clair Obscur, and even a few items from the newest Star Ocean game they did, because that was a great game. I loved that game. It was fantastic. Good characters, good story. I'm also, you know, as far as like theories and stuff go, I wouldn't say I'm less interested at this point. Oh, by the way, I went old school with the old hat. Found the old hat. Put it on tonight. This is the Final Fantasy VII Theory Talk hat. I'm still interested in Sephiroth and what's going on with Sephiroth and what's going on there. But my phone just started randomly calling somebody. That's so weird. But I'm less like trying to figure out what his motive is now. I feel like it's very much just lining up with what it was before. Like, he's trying to derail Cloud. He's trying to talk Cloud like into, he's trying to talk and influence him into submission and not fight. Like, this version of Cloud can't fight against Sephiroth. Like, we know that. And also, it's very clear that it's about the black materia with Sephiroth. I think by the time we get to the northern crater and we see Sephiroth's actual body and Cloud giving the black materia to Sephiroth, I think at that point we're going to know exactly what the trajectory for Sephiroth's character is going to be. And I'm happy it seems like it's like right in line with what it's supposed to be. I know a lot of people want to see Sephiroth redeemed. But I just feel like what makes him such a cool character and such an amazing character is that he is like the video game bad guy. He is the bad guy. And I love that. And I don't ever want that to be dulled. I don't ever want that to be neutered. Ever. Ever. Darth Vader was a different story from the start. You know, we knew Darth Vader had a best friend and Obi-Wan Kenobi. We knew he had, you know, he was once a hero, a Jedi, all this other kind of stuff. And then as you find out he's got a kid. Now, if Sephiroth had like a kid who was trying to save him or something like that, that would be different. But that's not the case, you know. People compare Sephiroth to Darth Vader a lot, and I'm like, I don't see the comparison at all, except they're both villains, you know. So, I don't, do not redeem Sephiroth. And I'm glad it's very clear that they're not trying to do that now. It's very clear they're not trying to do that now. And I'm happy for that. So, I think we can put that to bed. The whole redeeming Sephiroth stuff, we can put that to bed now. Yeah. But I'm excited about that because he is the villain. Let him be the villain. Every story has to have a great villain. You know, let Sephiroth keep his throne, keep his crown as the best video game villain. Let him keep it. He does have a birth mother, that is true. Yeah. How old should Lucretia look in the third game? We're gonna get to Lucretia's cave. We're gonna get some heartfelt stuff between her and Vincent. I think she should have like a little silver streak in her hair, like a little gray streak, like she was starting to age. Like she's kind of like frozen in time there, you know. I don't know how they'll depict her when you find her. I don't know how they're going to depict her, but I think she should look a little worn out. Like she's maybe 5 to 10 years older than she's supposed to look. Because I think she's had a hard time of it. She's had a hard time of it. Yeah, she's in her 50s, but she should look like she's kind of in her 60s. I still think she should look rough. I think she should look rough. Plus worry. Worry wrecks your body. And I'm sure she's just sitting in that cave just like racked with grief and worry, you know, over, you know, Sephiroth. You know, everybody's always like, oh, Lucretia and Vincent, what a great love story. I'm like, screw that. That's a shitty love story. Vincent's the good guy who got steamrolled by the woman who supposedly cared about him. I'm doing this for science. Oh, the hell out. The hell out, Lucretia. This is Team Vincent. Like, we're all Vincent's buddies telling him to dump her. It's like, dump her. Dump her. She's banging the scientist, man. Dump her. Forget her. I got this chick you need to call. I think, I think there's going to be a part of the third game where we get some detective work from the team about, like, looking into Sephiroth, finding out about Sephiroth. And I think it's going to be Vincent. I think he's going to have intel from the Turks. I think there's going to be a section of the game where we do some Turk detective work with Vincent. And I think it'll be a part of the game. So that section of the game where Cloud is missing, I think that's going to be a much bigger section of the game this time. I think there's going to be a lot more stuff you do. I think there's going to be, as far as hours played, I think there's going to be a much bigger part of that we didn't get in the OG game. And I think a part of that will be some sleuth work from Vincent, some detectiving, and I think there will be a section, a part of the story where every part of the team takes a turn leading the team. Like, I think Barrett will get a shot to lead the team. I think Vincent will get a shot to lead the team. Sid will ultimately lead the team against Ultima Weapon when Tifa is with Cloud in the live stream. I think Yuffie will lead the team in some section that has to do with Wutai. I think Red 13 will get a chance to be the lead, going back to Cosmo Canyon and doing something there. Maybe even the part where you take Bugenhagen to the Forgotten Capital and you get to investigate things there. And when you're looking for the, what was it? I don't think you're going to need to find the key to the Ancients again. Well, yeah, maybe. Never mind. Anyway, I'm about to get off the rails. But yeah, so I think the part where Vincent leads the team, I think you'll find out stuff about Genesis. I think you'll find out stuff about Angeal. You'll find out, we may even uncover stuff about other characters, because there were more than just like 4 or 5 Soldier First Class members. There were more, Who are they? Who are the ones that died? Did any of them die in the war? There were more. Who are they? That'll be interesting to find out. I don't think Marlene will get taken. I think she'll stay. I think she'll stay safe and kind of like on the run back and forth. Because at the end of the game, she's in Calm. She's in Calm at the end of the game with Elmira. Exactly, Darth Magus. Yeah, you could service a lot of characters' stories. And again, it goes into the whole redemption thing. Like, everybody in the story could be tying up their little redemption arc, and then the last one who gets his redemption arc is Cloud as he comes out of the live stream. And in a way, that's Tifa's redemption arc as well. And then that's the end of Act 2, and then you're on to the final act of the game. Tying things up, tying up loose ends, like little side quests you wanted to do, go get those ultimate weapons, go get those final abilities, finish off Knights of the Round, whatever that's going to look like, and then go bust Sephiroth's ass. So, yeah, that would be very interesting. Play as Punished Cloud. What do you mean Punished Cloud? Do you think we'll get to play as Punished Cloud? Do you mean Reunion Cloud? I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah, Deep Ground's definitely going to be in the story, because that's going to be part of Yuffie's story, I believe. By bigger role, do you mean a role at all in Part 3? I think we'll see a few members. I think we'll see a few members for sure, because they've already teased it, right? They've already teased it with what Yuffie's redemption. Reunion Cloud. Yeah, I think we'll play as. I think we're kind of starting to play as Reunion Cloud now. Like, we'll definitely get a taste of the power of the Black Materia Buster Sword. He's going to be OP. He's going to be super strong. He's going to be like wrecking people. That would be crazy, Orly, if you get to play as him when he goes bad. Like, what if you played, there will be a Reunion Cloud boss fight. There has to be. I feel like there has to be. You have to fight against Cloud. You have to. Wouldn't that be crazy if you open that boss fight, fighting everybody, you against everybody, and then it turns, and then you're fighting against Cloud? How crazy would that be? That would be so crazy. And like I've said before, I think the Reunion Cloud boss fight music is going to be insane. It's going to be like something 120 speed tempo. It's going to be Cloud's theme, the overworld Cloud theme. It's going to be mixed with those chosen by the planet. And it's going to be like sped up. It's going to be like him screaming and roaring and running at people. It's going to be, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Age Cloud? No, I don't think so, because he is saturated with S-type Genova cells. Saturated with them. So no, I don't think he'll age very much. Cloud's Buster Sword. I think Cloud's Buster Sword will be restored. Or you mean because it's got the black materia in it? I think that'll probably go away like once he gives the black materia to Sephiroth. I think his sword will lose that power once he gives the black materia to Sephiroth, for sure. That's going to be a killer scene. I've been saying that for a couple of years now. It's going to be a killer scene. After the boss fight, Sephiroth gets the black materia from Cloud. Sephiroth, everything crashes, the weapons awaken. You hear roars all over the planet's shaking, and then meteors summoned. It's going to be insane. That's all going to be the first act of the game. That's all going to be the first act of the game. The second act of the game is going to be massive. The second act will be massive. That will announce the end of the first act. It's like when we lose Cloud. The whole second act of the game, it will be no Cloud. But Cloud is absolutely going to go crazy. If you've never seen my Reunion Cloud video, you should go check that out. I'm going to revisit that too. But I had a theory that the ending boss fight of Rebirth was going to be with Reunion Cloud, as I called him. But we will definitely, I say definitely, but I hope we get that boss fight in part 2 or part 3. Oh, yes. So when you go, so we know that the damage from, okay, so this is something else I was going to cover later this week, but I'll get into it now. So I'm not going to look at the chat for a second because I want to kind of get into the mindset and talk about this, but so I think the reason I think Deep Ground will have a bigger part to play in this final part of the game is because they teased it because Yuffie had that vision in the Temple of the Ancients. She's going to feel the need to go help Sonnen because she feels like he's still there in some form. That's going to bring us to Weiss and Nero. When we go back to Midgar, Hojo and Scarlet and Heidegger, don't forget that when we got FF7 original back in the day, it was just, when we went back to Midgar, the two big boss fights were Heidegger and Scarlet in the Proud Claude, and Hojo morphing into different specimens and stuff. Those were the two big boss fights when we went back to Midgar. But now we know that Scarlet is in charge of Deep Ground. Well, I'm sure everybody at Shinra has their finger on the red button to release Deep Ground. But I think when you go back to Midgar this time with chaos and pandemonium breaking out, I think it really serves itself to say, hey, the last line of defense for Shinra is going to be deep ground. And it makes sense too, because when Meteor comes and destroys Midgar, essentially, you're going to be left with that wreck of Midgar that is in Dirge of Cerberus. Or the parts of Midgar that Deep Ground was a part of. I think you're going to see the beginning parts of that. I think you're going to see the birth of Deep Ground as we see it in Dirge of Cerberus. So you're going to get Azul, you're going to get Vice, Nero. Well, you're definitely going to get Vice and Nero. I'm a big Genesis fan. I'm not completely sold we get Genesis anymore. I think if they're just remaking 7 as it is, it's just a remake, then Genesis is still asleep. He's still asleep. But also, I feel like it sucks because you've got this character you're not going to be able to use. Now, I think you might fight Genesis in a simulation battle because they do have data on Genesis, you know, but and you could totally plug him into that simulation and battle him. But I think it stinks that you're not going to get that character because it is a good character. It is a really good character, and I've argued for years that the concept of that character is amazing. The execution of that character was not great, but the concept of that character, it'll always be one of the great what ifs. What if they had executed that character better? What if? You know, we might never know, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, I think we'll see the beginnings of what Deep Ground is in Dirge of Cerberus at the end of this game. If that makes sense. Like, you're going to fight Vice and Nero, you're not going to kill them because they die in Dirge of Cerberus. And I think that's still going to be I think that's going to be how they tackle things that happen later in the compilation than Final Fantasy VII. Like, you'll get a taste of those things, and that's probably going to be it. I think we will. I think we will get more Yuffie and Vincent. I think we will. I think that'll be the direction they go with them. How open will Midgar be? I hope it's wide open. I want to explore some other areas of Midgar. I want to see that. They've got the whole world mapped out now. Just give us all of Midgar. Just, this is the last time. This is the last time, right? Let us openly explore Midgar. And you know, here's another thing. Here's another thing. After Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is over, or after the remake saga is over, I'm totally down with them just cranking out DLCs to just odds and ends battles. Like odds and ends, like little side missions and stuff to go on. Like, just travel to different places in Midgar because of DLCs. They upload new missions and stuff like that, and just go do those missions. You know, like a new DLC is like $5 to $10 every 3 months. I'm in, man. Come on, let's go. I'd totally be down for that. We'll definitely have Cloud, Vincent, and Red go after Hojo, while Yuffie, Barrett, and Tifa deal with the Proud Claude. Yeah. Or, if it's not the Proud Claude, it's Deep Ground. That could be a way because we fought like a test version of the Proud Claude in Intermission. We did fight Scarlet there with the Proud Claude. Now the Proud Claude in OGFF7 is way bigger because Scarlet and Heidegger are piloting it. But I'd be fine if they took out the Proud Claude battle there and made it a battle with Deep Ground. I'd be cool with that. Either way, I'd be cool with it because Proud Claude is a cool mech. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Cloud versus Vice. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Well, I'm going to take a quick break, everybody. I'll be right back. Just going to grab a quick drink and a quick snack, and I'll be right back in just a moment. You know, I was reading some of your messages before I came back from break. It would be really cool. I mean, you got some Shinra employees in your party, right? You got some former Shinra employees in your party, and Vincent, Kate Sith, who's still employed, and Sid Highwind. Wouldn't it be cool if, like, the three of them teamed up when you're in Midgar to go do something in the Shinra building? To go, like, take down something there, or go, maybe have one final battle with Sung and the other Turks and stuff while they're there. That would be an interesting way to do things. That could also be the team going after Hojo, but I feel like Cloud needs to be in there going after Hojo as well. So, Vincent, Cloud, and whoever else. Well, no, Cloud's a former employee of Shinra, you know? So he could be in that. And then you got Barrett, Tifa, Yuffie. Barrett, Tifa, Yuffie. It's kind of like the rebellious kind of characters. There's a lot to dig into. There's so much to think about. Like, you all have heard me talking about this theory of how the Matrix has influenced a lot of this stuff. If you all remember, a number of years ago at this point, wow, it's weird to say that. A number of years ago at this point, maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years, man, was it 2020 when I made that video? The Agent Smith video. There's a lot of Matrix comparisons in Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first game. A lot of comparisons I made between Sephiroth and Agent Smith, which those still hold up. But there's even more, and I'm not going to get into this tonight. I'm going to get into it maybe tomorrow night when I can start a little bit earlier. And I really want to get my thoughts down on paper specifically for this, because there are a lot of items when you talk about the Oracle and you talk about you know, how Agent Smith operates in the Matrix. It's a lot how Sephiroth is operating in this, and just the Matrix itself, comparing the Matrix to the live stream and all these new elements we're seeing with the live stream. It's really, for me it was really jarring. I think Vincent will fight Nero in part 3. I think he could be in the party with you when you're fighting Deep Ground. But no, I think they'll save all, because I don't think Vincent's supposed to know Deep Ground. He kind of knows of Deep Ground, but he's not supposed to know the individual characters in Dirge of Cerberus, I don't believe. But they could play with that. That could be something they kind of mess with. We don't know. That'll be another interesting topic. Welcome, Mugiwara. Welcome to the stream. Oh yeah, the turncoats who leave Shinra and just come with you because they're abducted with the high wind. Yeah, that's got to be there. That's got to be part of the comedy of it. And dude, here's the other thing. This is on my notes to talk with you all about tonight, because I don't have like a big theory about this, but I want to get your all's thoughts on it. What do we think we're going to get with Roche in part 3? He's with Rufus and Hojo at the end of the game. He's with them. Like, are they going to find a way to save Roche? Is Roche going to be able to come back? What do you all think about that? I'm really intrigued by that, because I love Austin's performance as Roche, Austin Matthews, so I hope he gets work in Game 3. so that he gets work in all 3 games, because I know that character means a lot to him. But it's interesting because they made a point to show him. They made a point to show him. I was super bummed after you fought him in Nibelheim that he became like a dude with a robe on, and like he just it was kind of cheesy. He just all of a sudden had like this robe on, you know. I thought it would have been more interesting to see him turn into one of those ghoulish, you know, failed specimens with all of his gear still on. That would have been scary. That would have been scary, because that kind of makes you think, oh, this could happen to me at any time. Like Cloud, this could happen to me at any time, you know. But it was kind of hokey. All of a sudden, boom, he's got like a black robe on, you know. I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, Roche will definitely be at the Whirlwind Maze for sure. What's my streaming schedule going to look like when Part 3 actually drops? It's going to be every night. It's going to be every night. Yeah, I had to take that big hiatus because I was working on ARAURA, and I was working on it primarily by myself. You know, as far as like the heavy lifting of the animation and the backgrounds and the full production of it. Yeah, it was an undertaking. I wouldn't suggest anyone to ever do that. But now I've got that stuff kind of under more control. We're bringing other people in, and I'm freed up to do this more now. So. But yeah, it was me flying by the seat of my pants and not knowing my head from my ass and getting in over my head and just having to put my head down and make hard choices. And unfortunately, one of those hard choices was getting away from playing the game for months at a time. But yeah, I thought about it every day. I hated every day that I wasn't streaming, but I'm back at it now. So that my streaming schedule when the 3rd game comes out, God willing, if I'm still here, is It'll be every night, pretty much. Unless I need to take a break or something. And it won't be a 6-month break. It'd be like maybe a 1 or 2 night break. They're going to put him in the Nemesis Project. Put him in the Nemesis Project. Yeah, hopefully they don't put him in a bad movie, though. Hopefully, once he comes out of the Nemesis Project, he doesn't look like he wears a melted 90s Ninja Turtles outfit. With the little neck flap visible in the back from the costume department. Hopefully Roche doesn't have to suffer that fate. But yeah, there is like a lot of people talking about Summer Games Fest. They're talking about Summer Games Fest and, you know, are we going to see Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3? Are we going to, you know... Normally I would say chill on that stuff. Yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing too, Evo. I think there is a chance we see a teaser trailer for the 3rd game. I don't even think we get a title for it. I think we get a little bit of stuff, and then they put a date on the screen for when we'll find out more. I think you see clips of what could be happening in the 3rd game. I think you see shots of characters. I think you hear a little taste of a musical track from the 3rd game. You see Meteor. You see Chaos, and then fade to black, a little quote or something from Sephiroth, or a new character, and they just put a date on the screen, you know. New trailer on this date. That would be an interesting way to do it. Yeah, that's more of a hope. But I think, like, I feel like Square kind of midway through the development cycle for Rebirth, I feel like they had a strong grasp of what their workflow was, who the team was. Of course, they're bringing in freelancers, or they're bringing in people from other projects to help with this or help with that, of course. But, you know, the core team, I feel like they had an idea in place midway through the development cycle. I would say probably around late 2022, early 2023. They had a firm grasp of what their development was like, and they were running hard. And I think it's still that way. I think they know how much time this thing's going to take. I think they've already got a release date in mind. If I were going to guess, I would say this game's coming out fall of next year, 2026. I would say it's coming out in fall 2026. Because the game is built now. The game is built now. Except for the areas we haven't seen. You know, so there's going to be a lot more plotting and scenario stuff, environmental damage, other kind of things that'll play out through the course of the game. But I think for the most part, they've got the heavy lifting done. And that's what I said when we were waiting for Rebirth to come out. I was like, once they get Gaia built within whatever, whatever program they want to use to do it, when Gaia's built, that's going to be the bulk of the heavy lifting. Then you're just doing scenario, you're playing that out. I think the biggest part of part 3 was them finalizing the scenario. Like figuring out, okay, what do we want to do with everybody? How's the story going to go? I think they spent a lot of time in the editing room for that stuff. And then, like I said earlier, they got their team, they got their workflow, they know what they're capable of. Then they just take it, all departments, all hands on deck, hit the ground running. We're going to get this thing out in 2026. Even if it's at the end of the year in 2026, I could see that happening. But if it's ready around the end of 2026, they could hold it for April 2027, which, as we know, is the beginning of their fiscal year. So they would have all of their fiscal year to play it out. I think at the latest we're getting it April 2027. So the rest of this year, all of next year, and then boom. But it's going to be the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. I saw somebody say 2028. I was like, no way. No way is it going to take that long. No way. Do you know what the new name will be? I think it's going to be Redemption. I think it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Redemption. And the reason I think that, I said it earlier, I said it a few times, like on my playthrough and stuff, is like the Temple of the Ancients set everyone on a redemption story arc. And what is the ultimate redemption? It's Cloud putting himself back together in the live stream. The most important moment in the history of video games for me. I will die on that hill. That is the single most potent moment ever in a video game. Yeah, well that's a great point, Blue Silver. I wasn't thinking about that, but that's a great point. 2027 is the 30th anniversary. Yeah, the final part comes out on the 30th anniversary. Chef's kiss. Out the door. Pack it, seal it, ship it, sell it. Done. I think 2027 is a good one. And like if they waited till April 2027, that will give them, if the game is done that fall, give them extra time to polish it. Polish it, make sure it's good, make sure it's ready to rock. Out the door. Absolutely. So we've all figured it out. Good job, chat. April 2027. Final Fantasy VII Redemption. The mystery is solved. The promise has been made. Again. One of the areas, I'm looking through my notes here again. One of the areas of the third game I'm really looking forward to is the submarine stuff. Anybody who knows has followed me play or watched my Final Fantasy VII OG playthroughs way back in the day. The submarine minigame is my favorite. It might be my favorite Final Fantasy minigame of all time. I love the submarine stuff. The Crashed Galenka is a farming, EXP farming gold mine. I love down there. I hope that in Redemption, I hope we get a lot more like shipwrecks that we can explore. Shipwrecks, of course, the crashed plane, and other fun little extra things to find down there. That would be cool. Like little caves you can go through that bring you up into other parts of the world in Gaia. Bring you up into places that you wouldn't be able to get to. Not just Lucrezia's Cave, but other places. That would be super, super cool. Or, you know, you could find hidden boss battles. Yeah, that would be great. Never played the OG before. I would suggest everyone go and give it a playthrough at least once. I know there's a whole generation of gamers that the remake saga is their only experience with it, but it's worth the play. It's worth the play. It gives you an idea and an appreciation of where. Let me say it another way. The old polygonal Final Fantasy VII has a charm to it that some of the comedy they play in the remake saga lands better in OG, and is funnier to me because those little polygonal SD kind of like characters, they're just funnier. You know, they have like a charm to them. It's charming. It's definitely worth it. Dude, I hope we see Benora. I hope we see Modeoheim. I hope we see all of it. Like, just give us everything. Give us other little towns. Put towns all over the place, you know. Give us a few other bigger cities, you know. It's a big world map. Wutai is a third of the world map the way it's looking. If you judge it by, like, the cloud coverage on the world map, Wutai is like a third or 25% of the world map. So yeah, sky's the limit on that. What's up, Faith Giant? I'm glad to hear that you are planning on streaming every night when it drops. I was 21 when OG came out, and I played it like I was married to it, and between you and Maximilian, dude, it's busy. Well, thank you. It's fun to be mentioned with Max, dude. Yeah, like I was. Let's see. You were 21 when OG came out. I was 17 when OG came out. So we're not far apart. But yeah, that was a wild Christmas for me. Because OG came out in January. I think it was January of '97, and I didn't play it right when it came out. I was, I was into sports and stuff, but I still loved RPGs. But I wasn't gaming a whole lot at the time. And then some of my friends I was hanging out with were playing it. And I was like, "Well, what is this?" "Oh, it's Final Fantasy VII." I'm like, "Oh, there's a seventh one." You know, because I played Final Fantasy and then Final Fantasy 2 and 3 on Super NES. I was like, oh, there's a seventh one? And then that Christmas, I got a PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy 7, Strat Guide, memory card. If you were around back in the day, you were like, yeah, I'm going to go pick up a memory card. I'm going to pick up the Strat Guide. That was how you did it back in the day, you know. Got to get my memory card. Got to get an extra controller, get my Strat Guides. Yeah. That was how you did it back in the day. That was the weekend combo pack. A new memory card because your old one was full. Some pizza, some soft drinks, strategy guide. Boom, your ass was in the house for the next 3 days. Oh yeah. Well, that's why, I say a lot of times that Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game ever made, and I mean it, because like lots of games have influenced people, like developers and stuff, to become game makers or whatever. But I think Final Fantasy VII was just a zeitgeist. It influenced in some way every game developer that's our age that's doing this. And I say our age, anywhere from 35 to 50. I'm 45. But in our age range, that 15-year age range, it influenced everybody to go make video games. It influenced the people in the industry at the time to make their games different. So if you're in the industry, it influenced you. If you were not in the industry yet, it influenced you. It influenced movie makers. It influenced storytellers. It influenced so many forms of entertainment. It's the greatest game ever made. And you can't take its fingerprints off of those things I just mentioned. So for me, it will forever be the greatest game ever made. It kept Square Enix open. It kept their doors open. If it wasn't for Final Fantasy VII, Squaresoft was going under. Squaresoft was going under without Final Fantasy VII. And without Final Fantasy VII, you don't get 8, 9, or 10. You don't get, everything Squaresoft has done since then. Squaresoft has influenced a number of things. Squaresoft, because of Final Fantasy VII, Squaresoft was around to publish Full Metal Alchemist and make Full Metal Alchemist and change anime forever. Storytelling in anime was heavily influenced by Full Metal Alchemist. If Final Fantasy VII doesn't hit and become the greatest game of all time, Full Metal Alchemist doesn't get made. And there's a lot of crappy storytelling in anime. You don't get the Elric brothers. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a domino effect. It affected so many things. Take that as you will, but I stand on that. I stand on that. I believe that wholeheartedly. It's ripple effect, Final Fantasy VII's ripple effect stretches far, far beyond video games. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist, I forget what their manga division was called. But yeah, they produced Full Metal Alchemist. They made the games too, which the games for Full Metal Alchemist weren't bad. Those PS2 games, I've still got them over here. They weren't bad. I remember playing them and enjoying them for what they were. Yep. Square Enix produced a lot of anime. They produced a ton of anime. They still do. Which is why I always thought it was funny when people would be like, oh, new rumor that Sony's buying Square Enix. Really? Do they got the $6 to $8 billion that Square Enix is worth? Buying Square Enix would be like buying a Sony. Or buying a PlayStation. Not a Sony, but buying PlayStation. Like, that company is as big as PlayStation. They're in music production. They're in gaming is just one of the things they do. They produce manga, they produce anime, they produce short films, they produce music. They have like their own toy lines, the Play Arts stuff. I mean, nobody's buying Square Enix. That's why whenever there'd be a batch of YouTubers making is Square Enix for sale again? No, they were never for sale. That's why I laugh every time. I'm like, oh, it must be a slow news day. Everybody's talking about Sony buying Square again. Must be a slow news day on YouTube. All the creators are jumping on this one. That's why I never put that out, because it's foolish. Sony can't buy Square. Even if Square has a down year, they're still like raking in money from all these other divisions. Oh, Square's latest game didn't do the projections they thought it would. It's not good news for Square. No, it's fine, because all their other stuff is just printing money. Everything else is printing money. The The first Full Metal Alchemist season or series was good too. I didn't care much for the third movie, the Scarred Star of Milos. I didn't care much for that, but the second movie was really good. But yeah, Brotherhood is like the standard. It's really good. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII. I think Final Fantasy VII and Xenogears, I think they swapped members of the development team, I think is what that is. And one brought ideas from one and one brought ideas to another. So that's why there's some cross-pollination there. Yeah. Sony can't even get, like... They can't even get FromSoft to make another Bloodborne for them. How are they going to buy Square Enix? Get the F out of here, man. Get out of here. Anytime you see somebody post something that's like, big rumor today, Square Enix is looking to be purchased by Sony, just give them a big get out of here. Get out of here with that foolishness. Dude, make something else up. Make something up more entertaining. Because you're just making shit up now. That's never going to happen. It would take a historic cash fall for Square Enix to sell to Sony, become a Sony studio. They do things in partnership with Sony, and Sony has a stake in Square Enix, but, you know, that goes way back to when Sony helped fund the development of Final Fantasy VII. Like, that goes way back to those days. Oh, dude, Michelle, that rumor's been going on for years now. Like, I want to say it's August every year. Like, when there's not a whole lot of video game news happening, you'll see 1 or 2 or 3 content creators on Twitter start a rumor that, looks like, you know, just name video game journalists that people know the names of. So-and-so has a report that Sony's interested in buying Square Enix again. Well, I'm sure they're interested, but it's not going to happen. It's like saying PlayStation's interested in buying PlayStation. Well, get out of here. The review video, I made it unlisted. I'm going to share a link to it because I want to edit it down to just the review part, and I'm going to post that part tomorrow. Because it's like, I want to review it and I want to get it streamlined. So it will be back up, but it'll be up tomorrow. I want to edit it. And I did have a flub in there. I said one of the things I want to edit, not edit out, but put a correction in the video, because if I don't, my comments will be flooded with, "Oh, you got that wrong." I'm going to put a note in there. Tiyuki Endo he worked on Monster Hunter, not Devil May Cry. I misspoke last night. I said Devil May Cry instead of Monster. Still Capcom, but I misspoke. And someone put a comment on the video. I was like, "Oh, you're right. I misspoke on that." So I'm going to put an edit in the video and post it so my comments aren't flooded with people saying, "Oh, you got that wrong, buddy." No. If you're going to comment something good that I can start a conversation with you with. Don't be the 300th person who's like, "He worked on Monster Hunter, sir. He worked on Monster Hunter, not Devil May Cry, sir. You're not a reputable source." No, I'm a dude in his studio with a camera. But yeah, so that's why it's not up. It's going to be up tomorrow. Yeah, so AS, that's why. Do you have a top 50 favorite game composers of all time off the top of your head? Top 50? Okay. Top 5? Nobuo Uematsu, Yasunori Mitsuda, Koji Kondo. I might even put, look, I know this is going to sound sacrilege, but I'd almost put Yasunori Mitsuda above Nobuo Uematsu. For me personally, Nobuo Uematsu has changed the game for video game music, period. But I think my personal preference, I love what Yasunori Mitsuda does with tribal harmonies and beats. I just do. I just do. I think it's great. So it's going to be Yasunori Mitsuda. That's a great question. Great question, by the way. Yasunori Mitsuda, Nobuo Uematsu, Jeremy Souls, Elder Scrolls, Michiru Yamane, Castlevania, starting with, I believe it was Rondo of Blood, and Koji Kondo. Those would be my 5. Those would be my 5. What are your 5? What are your top 5? Tell me. Tell me. Those are great. Those are great. Yeah, those are great. David Wise, he could be in my 5. He could be in my top 5. He could be in my top 5. But for me, it's Yasunori Mitsuda, Nobuo Uematsu, Jeremy Souls, Michiru Yamane, and Koji Kondo. Just the work that Michiru Yamane did from Symphony of the Night to Curse of Darkness is like, wow. Like, I still go back and listen to those classic Castlevanias from like 97 to 04. And they're so good. Oh my god, they're so good. Yeah, I love Mitsuda. We were in talks with Yasunori Mitsuda's English agent. His not his American agent, but his English speaking agent who handles his business over here or whatever. Now, Michiru Yamane, she didn't do Vampire Killer, but she did like everything from Symphony of the Night. I think she did Dracula X. Which is Opposing Bloodlines, which is that's been sampled a few times. That's been sampled a bunch. What was I saying? I read Joel's comments and I get off. I get off on different tangents. But yeah, so yeah, that's my 5. Oh yeah, Yasunori Mitsuda. We almost landed him to do music for the ARAURA pilot episode. I couldn't work it out, but hopefully in the future he'll do some music for us. That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Have I seen Netflix's Castlevania? I have. I haven't seen Nocturne. I haven't seen any of Nocturne. But oh yeah, I've still got the emails. I saved the emails between me and his English agent. I've still got the emails. So Procyon Studio is his studio name. That's who we were talking to. Couldn't make it happen though. Final Fantasy XIV's got a lot of fans. I just can't get into MMOs too much. There's no principle or anything to it. I just, I want to sit down with a story and just go. And I know you can do that in 14, but I just never got around to it. Yeah, I haven't seen any of Nocturne. I started to watch a little bit of the first season of Nocturne. The art and animation is gorgeous. Something about the audio mix on. It feels like everybody's talking like this. I feel like everybody's just talking like this. Yeah, even when it's an intense scene, even when someone's trying to make a joke, yeah, they're talking like this, right here, like this, the whole time. I don't know, it's something about the way they do the voice acting in the show. My favorite character in Castlevania was Sypha. She was my favorite character because I felt like she had the most heart. And I didn't necessarily like the way they portrayed Alucard. But again, it was a take. I'm very protective of Castlevania. I just am. Like, I think it's one of those top 5 all-time game franchises owned by a company that just doesn't give a shit. Like, it's unfortunate. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like, I would one of the hot takes I've got is when it comes to Castlevania, since I've been playing Clair Obscur, and I know I'm going to be the only person on the planet that feels this way. I understand. I'm ready for it. But I feel like Castlevania would do well with a bit of a gameplay stylistic reboot. And seeing how Clair Obscur plays with its turn-based combat, like, I would love to see a Castlevania done like that. Just like you could still explore castles and go through ruins and do all that other stuff. I mean, you could still do all those things, but you're not doing anything with the IP right now. It needs a breath of fresh air. It needs a shot in the arm. I really think you could do a Clair Obscur Expedition 33 style gameplay with Castlevania, especially if they remade Castlevania 3. What the Netflix series is based on is Castlevania 3, super loosely based on Castlevania 3. Instead of Trevor morphing into Sypha and Alucard and Grant, who's not in Castlevania, by the way, which was a crime. Talk about that another time. You could have like a party. You could get more people in there. You get like a priest type character. You could get like, some monster who wants to be on your team. You could recruit Hector, because Curse of Darkness is all about Hector's story, and you have to fight Trevor in that, I mean, it's fantastic. And you could recruit these characters, and you could do like a Clair Obscur Expedition 33 style gameplay with that. There were points while I was playing Expedition 33 and I said, holy shit, could you do a Castlevania like this? I legitimately thought that, and I was like, yo, this would be cool. You could keep the Metroidvania elements. Like, you could still keep all the exploration. You could turn Castlevania into a JRPG in the vein, and I know it's not Japanese, but in the vein of Clair Obscur. I think you could do it. And I think it would be dope. Do I think Konami will do it? Hell no. Why hell no? What's the meme? It's like, oh, guys just gonna see this, say, well, hell yeah. I say, well, Konami's gonna see that and go, well, hell no. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. I pray to God pray to the video game gods, if they're listening, that some company swoops in with some kind of incredible pitch for Konami and says, let us do Castlevania. Like I think it's Bloober Team, right? That's doing Snake Eater remake. You recently had Silent Hill 2 remake. Maybe it was Bloober Team that did Silent Hill 2. Maybe it was them. They're letting these companies do remakes of their games, but it's like they're keeping Castlevania locked in a vault, held prisoner. And I'm just like, come on, man. I've got a Castlevania section on my shelf here. Yeah, license. Look, Konami, license Castlevania to Sandfall Interactive, and just let them make the Castlevania that you cannot make. Let's go. Let's effing go. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Dude, Orly, I'm with you. I'm with you, my friend. Let Sandfall have it. They're the belle of the ball right now. Like, I'll play Expedition 33. I'll just grind off stream, just get levels up and do stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder what their next game's gonna be. Oh, what's their next game gonna be? Like, I sit there and think that. I'm like, oh, what are we getting next from these folks? Let's go, man. Let's go. Well, anyway, I'm gonna call it there for the night. I gotta get some sleep. I gotta be back at work in the morning. I gotta get off work. Gotta come home. I gotta cut the edit of that review for you folks to check out. I'm gonna cut this up a little bit tonight. I'm gonna see what I can keep and, you know, whatever. But thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. 30 strong throughout the night. MJ1, what's up? Welcome back. It's fun seeing like Orly and Peach Booty and some other people, and then new people like Michelle, like old faces, new faces showing back up now that I've kind of crawled out of my cave, like getting the sunlight on my skin again, talking about stuff, hanging out with y'all again. It's nice. It's really nice. So I appreciate you all being here tonight, hanging out with me, having a good time. We're going to do this every night. We're going to do this every night. Some nights it's going to be theory stuff. Some nights it's going to be streaming games. Some nights it's going to be conversation stuff. I've got a lot to say. I've got a whole lot to say. We might actually talk about tomorrow night about all of this business with these gaming CEOs talking out of their ass. These gaming CEOs need to stop talking to people. Just do your CEO thing. Stop talking. We're going to talk about it tomorrow night. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow night. What playlist am I listening to right now? I feel like I need that for my own clip. So this is just the OG FF7 soundtrack straight up. It's just, if you go on, I've got Apple Music. Just go on Apple Music, type in Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. It's the original soundtrack with Big Gar on the cover, start to finish. Except for Prelude. If you play Prelude, your video gets struck. So I don't play Prelude anymore. The Final Fantasy theme, I don't play that anymore because it gets struck every time. Or flagged, not struck, flagged. But yeah, well, I heard they're slightly changing Safer Sephiroth. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on trying to comment on that too much because I don't want to get lost in the vortex of like Twitter speech. You know, I've seen a lot of people trying to make content about them changing that. I'm not gonna do that. We can talk about it, but based on the card that I saw, they're making interesting changes. That's all I'm gonna say. No, yeah. Like, I think the quote from Tetsuya Nomura was something like, "This is how he's gonna appear." I'm paraphrasing. This may not be completely accurate, but it's like, "This is how." This is a new sketch I did of Safer Sephiroth for the Magic set. I can't really comment on any more on this at the time. Something like that. Something ambiguous. Square Enix executives always like to put these really like ambiguous comments out there to get people talking. And it's genius marketing strategy. It's genius marketing. Because it works. It works every time. It works every time, you know? But anyway. Alright, back to what I was saying earlier. Because I'm so tired. I'm going to hop off here, get some sleep. I'm going to get a little snack, get a little sleep. You all take care of yourselves. Take care of your mind, body, your soul, in the live stream. But anyway, y'all have a great night. I'll be back on tomorrow night, Twitch and YouTube. Twitch, not really doing a lot over there. I might be dropping that for good. But YouTube, we're always strong here on the tube. So I hope y'all have a great night. Be safe, be good to each other. Keep rocking. Y'all know how we do it. And Uncle Ray will be back with you tomorrow night. Till then, y'all take care, and I'll see you then.